You let people walk all over you and then wonder why your life feels like a doormat. You let them call you too sensitive when they cross the line. You laugh off disrespect like it's a joke. And you convince yourself it's not that deep. But here's the truth, it is that deep. Because every time you let someone spit poison into your life and you smile like it's lemonade, you teach them exactly how to treat you. You're not forgiving, you're not understanding, you're not patient, you're a free therapist for people who don't even like you. Tell me, how many fake apologies have you accepted? How many second chances have you handed out like discount coupons? And how many times have you swallowed your rage just to keep the peace? Let me ask you something brutal. When exactly did you decide that your peace, your dignity, your soul was negotiable? You know what your biggest weakness is? You don't hate losing enough. You don't despise disrespect enough. You've gotten so used to crumbs, you've convinced yourself it's a meal. You let people step on your boundaries, and you call it compromise. You let people use you, and you call it loyalty. You let people emotionally blackmail you, and you call it love. That's not love. That's self-destruction on repeat. You tolerate unacceptable behavior because you're addicted to being wanted, even if it's fake. You'd rather be someone's option than face being alone. You'd rather suffer quietly than speak up and risk losing them. But here's the truth. The people you're terrified of losing don't even value you. You're holding on to ghosts that would let go of you in a heartbeat. And you know why you keep letting it slide? Because you think your silence makes you strong. You think patience will change them. You think loyalty will earn you respect. But silence without boundaries isn't strength, it's surrender. Patience without limits isn't wisdom, it's weakness. And loyalty to people who break you isn't noble, it's pathetic. Harsh? Good, because sugarcoating is what kept you trapped this long. You bend over backwards for people who wouldn't even lean forward for you. You apologize for things that weren't even your fault. You shrink yourself so others can feel tall. And then you sit there at night wondering why you feel so empty. It's because you've made your life a charity event for people who don't deserve a ticket. And the worst part? They know it. They've clocked your weakness. They've learned that you'll keep forgiving, keep excusing, keep swallowing your pain, and every time you let it slide, you train them to disrespect you more. That's why the same cycles repeat. That's why nothing changes. Because you refuse to admit this brutal truth, you care more about being liked than being respected. Think about it. You smile through insults. You laugh at jokes that sting. You stay quiet when you should burn the whole room down. Why? Because you're afraid. Afraid of conflict, afraid of rejection, afraid of being alone. But let me tell you the truth no one ever told you. Being alone is not the worst thing. Being surrounded by people who drain you, disrespect you, and slowly erase you, that's the real hell. So stop lying to yourself. Stop dressing up your fear and calling it kindness. Stop tolerating what should never be tolerated. Because the moment you stop making excuses for people, you start making room for respect. And until you do, you'll keep living on discounts, and the world will keep treating you like clearance. Relax, it was just a joke. That line has destroyed more self-worth than direct insults ever could. You've heard it, haven't you? The little digs disguised as humor. The snide comments slipped in front of others. The sarcasm that cuts just enough to sting but hides behind a laugh. They don't insult you directly. They play. They don't attack you. They tease. But what they're really doing is stripping away your confidence piece by piece while making you doubt your own reaction. Here's the game. They stab you with words, then laugh in your face so you can't call it out. And if you do, they flip it. Suddenly you're the problem. You're the one who can't take a joke. That's the trap. That's the manipulation. They humiliate you publicly, then gaslight you privately. And let's be real, how many times have you laughed along just to avoid the awkward silence? How many times have you swallowed your rage because you didn't want to ruin the vibe? How many times have you convinced yourself it wasn't that deep? But it was. Every one of those jokes had truth inside it. That's why it hurt. Because the funniest lies are the ones laced with honesty. They meant it. Don't fool yourself. People don't joke about what they don't secretly believe. That friend who mocks your ambition, they're threatened. That partner who teases your appearance, they don't respect you. That coworker who cracks jokes at your expense, they see you as a punchline, not a person. And here's the brutal reality: when you laugh with them, you're not defending yourself, you're joining them. You're co-signing your own disrespect. You're telling the room, yes, it's okay to laugh at me. You become the entertainment, the clown. And clowns don't get respect, they get laughs. Now, some of you cling to the excuse, but that's just how they are. No, that's not how they are. That's how much they think they can get away with. Because people test you. They test your limits with words first. They check, can I disrespect them openly and still keep access? If you allow the joke, next comes the insult. Allow the insult, next comes the humiliation. And before you know it, you're the designated punching bag in your own relationships. Think about that for a second. Do you really want to play the role of everyone's emotional trampoline? Do you really want to be the fun one who takes all the shots and pretends it's fine? That's not strength, that's self-betrayal. Let me give you the savage truth. When someone mocks you and you laugh, you're teaching them how to treat you. And they will never stop because why would they? You've made it clear there are no consequences. Here's the flip side. The power move. The comeback isn't a clapback. It's not shouting. It's not trading insults. That's what they want. They want you flustered, emotional, weak. The real power? Silence. A cold stare, an unmoved face. Do you know what happens when someone drops a joke and you don't laugh? The air shifts. The silence stings harder than a punch. Suddenly the spotlight is back on them, and they look like the fool grasping for validation. And if they push it further, if they try to guilt trip you into laughing, that is when you look them dead in the eye and say, I don't find disrespect funny. That's it. No explanation, no over-talking, just truth. And let me tell you, that line shuts down the circus instantly, because bullies and manipulators thrive in chaos, but they suffocate in clarity. Stop feeding the clown. Stop giving free laughs to people who mock you. Stop making entertainment out of your own pain. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about being too sensitive. That's the lie they sell you to keep you quiet. Sensitivity is not weakness. It's awareness. It's knowing when someone is spitting poison into your cup and calling it lemonade. Being aware of disrespect doesn't make you fragile. It makes you awake. The weak tolerate disrespect and call it humor. The strong draw the line and let people choke on their own awkwardness. You don't need to clap back with a savage one-liner every time. You don't need to prove you're cleverer. Sometimes the most savage move is refusing to play the game. Because when you stop entertaining disrespect, people either adapt or disappear. And both outcomes are victories. So the next time someone throws that relax, I'm just joking line at you, remember this. The joke is not on you. It's on them, because while they're busy trying to score laughs, you're busy building a life where you don't need their validation. And here's the final nail. The people who make you the butt of the joke are revealing who they really are. They're insecure, threatened, and desperate for attention. Let them choke on their own insecurities. Don't be their stage. Don't be their audience. And sure as hell don't be their punchline. Because once you stop laughing, the circus collapses. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me? That line has trapped more people in toxic cycles than chains ever could. The guilt trip is the oldest weapon of manipulation. It's not about love. It's not about loyalty. It's about control. They wrap their selfishness in sacrifice, then hand you the bill. Suddenly, you owe them your time, your freedom, your soul, forever. They don't even ask anymore. They demand with silence, with sighs, with sad eyes that make you feel like the villain. They want you to feel guilty for having boundaries, guilty for saying no, guilty for not being their personal servant. And here's the sick part. It works. You fold. You cave. You cancel your plans. You bend over backward to please them. And then you call it love. That's not love. That's emotional slavery. The manipulation is simple. They make you feel responsible for their happiness. So when they suffer, it's your fault. When they're lonely, it's your fault. When they're miserable, it's your fault. Their life is a mess and somehow you're the janitor cleaning it up. And you've played along, haven't you? You've sacrificed sleep, money, opportunities, even your peace of mind, just to keep someone else satisfied. You've bitten your tongue, carried guilt that wasn't yours, and allowed yourself to be drained because you were terrified of being called selfish. But here's the brutal truth. Selfish people are the ones calling you selfish. Manipulators project their own dirt onto you so you can feel small enough to serve them. Think about it. A healthy person doesn't weaponize guilt. They don't keep a scoreboard of every good deed they've done. They don't use kindness like a credit card to trap you in debt. That's what manipulators do. They'll do one thing for you and then act like you owe them eternal loyalty. It's emotional blackmail, plain and simple. They don't put a gun to your head. They put a guilt trip in your chest. And that's enough to paralyze you. Now here's the savage part. Guilt only works on people who care. And manipulators know that. They prey on your empathy. They know you hate letting people down. They know you'll bend rather than watch someone cry. They know you'll stay quiet rather than risk being seen as ungrateful. They see your compassion as weakness, and they weaponize it. You want to know how to kill the guilt trip? Stop paying debts you don't owe. Stop apologizing for having limits. Stop confusing obligation with love. Because, let's be real, if someone makes you feel bad for protecting your own peace, they don't love you. They own you. The savage comeback? I don't owe you the version of me that destroys me. That's it. Simple, sharp, final. And don't think for a second that walking away makes you cruel. The cruel ones are the people who drain you and call it devotion. The cruel ones are the people who manipulate your kindness and disguise it as closeness. The cruel ones are the ones who keep you chained with guilt while they live freely. So stop carrying crosses that aren't yours to bear. Stop crucifying yourself on the altar of their needs. Stop bleeding out just so someone else can drink. Because here's the reality. The people who guilt trip you will never stop. They don't want a partner. They want a hostage. And as long as you keep surrendering, they'll keep tightening the ropes. But the moment you stop responding to guilt, the moment you detach, breathe, and let their sad eyes roll off your back, everything shifts. They lose their power. They realize they can't control you anymore. And that's when you finally see the truth. Their love was never love. It was ownership disguised as sacrifice. So next time you hear, "After all I've done for you," stop, pause. And remember, people who keep score are not giving, they're investing in control. You don't owe anyone a lifetime of servitude because they once did something nice. You don't owe constant access because they fed you when you were hungry or listened once when you were broken. Gratitude doesn't equal slavery. Respect doesn't equal surrender. And if walking away makes you the villain in their story, so be it. Let them cry. Let them paint you as the monster, because the truth is, you'd rather be the villain in their fantasy than the prisoner in their reality. The guilt trip only works on the weak. The strong smile, walk away, and let manipulators drown in their own pity. So remember this. Love is not supposed to feel like debt, and if someone makes you feel guilty for protecting your soul, they don't deserve access to it. Wow, you're actually doing well. I didn't think you had it in you. That's not a compliment. That's a slap wrapped in sugar. Backhanded support is the silent killer of confidence. It looks like encouragement, but it's poisoned with doubt. It's that fake cheer that sounds more like an insult than praise, and most people smile through it, pretending not to notice. But deep down, it cuts. Because you know exactly what they meant. This is how toxic people operate. They don't attack you head on. That would expose them. Instead, they dress up their envy as concern, their doubt as advice, and their jealousy as support. They want to dim your light without looking like the villain, so they clap while secretly hoping you fall. It's your so-called friend who says, "I'm so proud of you," but don't get your hopes up. Things like that usually don't last. It's the family member who smiles and says, "That's cute, but maybe focus on something realistic." It's the coworker who says, "Congrats, let's see how long you can keep it up." That's not support. That's sabotage with a smile. And the most twisted part, they say it in such a subtle way that if you call it out, you look paranoid. "Oh, relax, I didn't mean it like that." Sound familiar? That's the trap. They inject the poison, then gaslight you into believing it's medicine. Here's the truth. Backhanded support isn't about you. It's about them. It's their insecurity screaming. They see you rising and it burns them alive. They can't clap for you because your success exposes their mediocrity. But they can't openly hate either. That would reveal their envy, so they hide it in sarcasm, in fake praise, in doubt. And you've been tolerating it. You've been smiling, nodding, saying thanks to people who are secretly praying for your downfall. You've been shrinking yourself just to make others comfortable. Let's be blunt. If someone can't clap for you without throwing shade, they don't deserve a front row seat in your life. Period. Here's the savage reality. Real support feels like fuel. Fake support feels like weight. And if every time you share good news you walk away feeling smaller, not bigger, you just got hit with backhanded support. The manipulation is simple. They want you to doubt yourself. Because if you doubt yourself, you'll stay small. And if you stay small, you'll never outgrow them. That's all it is. Control. They want to keep you right where they can reach you, but you want the power move? Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't try to make them see your worth. Just win. Just succeed so loudly that their fake claps drown under the sound of your victories. Because nothing silences a fake supporter like undeniable results. Imagine this. They tell you, don't get too excited. It probably won't work out. You smile, you nod, you don't waste energy fighting. Then you go out and crush it. You rise, you thrive. And suddenly they're choking on their own words. That's the sweetest revenge, turning their doubt into your fuel. Because here's the truth. Backhanded support only works if you take it personally. If you let their shade sink into your soul, it'll paralyze you. But if you see it for what it is, insecurity in disguise, you'll laugh. Because why would you take advice from someone who's too afraid to chase their own dreams? Stop explaining yourself to people who secretly want you to fail. Stop dimming your shine so others won't feel insecure. Stop saying thank you to insults disguised as compliments. The savage comeback? Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's a smile and a cold, watch me. Sometimes it's no words at all, just results that make their doubt look pathetic. Remember this, people who love you will celebrate your wins without a but, without a jab, without a hidden sting. They'll clap because they're proud, not because they're pretending. And if someone's support leaves you feeling drained, it's not support, it's sabotage. So stop letting fake supporters camp in your circle. Stop mistaking shade for shade trees. Stop calling it loyalty when it's actually jealousy in disguise. Because you know what happens when you keep letting backhanded support slide? You start believing it. You start doubting yourself. You start shrinking into the box they want you in. And that's exactly what they want. But the moment you wake up, the moment you stop feeding their insecurities, the moment you say, I don't need your half claps, I'll clap for myself, everything changes. They'll either disappear because they can't stand your shine, or they'll adapt and finally learn how to give real support. Either way, you win. So the next time someone congratulates you with doubt, remember, it's not about you. It's their fear, their envy, their weakness. Don't carry it. Don't absorb it. And sure as hell, don't let it slow you down. Smile, nod, succeed. That's the ultimate clapback. Because nothing burns a fake supporter more than watching you win without their approval. No, that's a complete sentence. But in your life, it never seems to be enough, does it? You say no, they keep pushing. You set a limit, they act offended. You draw a line, and they treat it like a suggestion. And here's the twisted part. You let them. This is how people break you. Not with fists, not with fire, but with persistence. They push and push and push until your no bends into a fine whatever. And the moment you fold, they win. Let me tell you the truth. Most people are too scared to admit if someone ignores your boundaries once, that's disrespect. If they ignore them twice, that's a decision. And if they keep doing it, that's war. They're declaring that your comfort, your dignity, your peace doesn't matter. Only theirs does. And what do? You explain. You soften. You turn your no into a polite essay filled with apologies. I'm sorry, but I just can't right now. I hope you understand. I'm really tired. You dress your boundaries in excuses because you're scared of offending them. Newsflash, a real boundary will offend the wrong people. That's the point. Here's the manipulation. They act hurt when you protect yourself. They flip it so you look selfish for having needs. Wow, I thought we were close. I guess I can't count on you. I didn't think you'd be like that. See how slick that is? They break your boundary, then make you feel guilty for noticing. It's emotional blackmail with a smile. And you've fallen for it, haven't you? You've swallowed your needs to keep the peace. You've given people more chances than they deserve. You've told yourself it's not a big deal while your soul screamed otherwise. But it is a big deal. Because every time you let someone cross the line moves further. Every time you stay quiet, your silence becomes permission. And soon, you're not living your life, you're living theirs. Here's the savage reality. A boundary that needs repeating isn't a boundary, it's a suggestion. And suggestions get ignored. Do you want to know why people keep testing you? Because you've trained them to. You've shown them that your no is negotiable. You've proven that all they have to do is guilt trip, pout, or persist long enough, and you'll cave. You're not holding boundaries. You're holding weak requests. And toxic people love weak requests. It's time to flip the script. Stop over-explaining, stop apologizing, stop softening the edges of your no. Deliver it cold, sharp, and final. No. That's it. No follow-up, no essay, no justification. And if they keep pushing, That's when you end the conversation entirely. Because here's the truth. People who respect you will respect your limits. People who love you won't need an explanation for your no. People who belong in your life won't guilt trip you for protecting your peace. The only ones who get mad at boundaries are the ones who benefit from you having none. So ask yourself, who in your life keeps pushing? Who rolls their eyes when you speak your truth? Who acts like your needs are negotiable? Those are not your people. Those are leeches dressed as friends, partners, or family. And the most savage move you can make is this: enforce the boundary without flinching. When they realize their tricks don't work anymore, the guilt, the persistence, the fake offense, they'll do one of two things. They'll either rise to your level and respect you, or they'll walk away because they can't control you anymore. Both outcomes are wins. Let's be clear, you are not responsible for managing other people's feelings when you protect yourself. If they cry, if they pout, if they rage, that's their problem, not yours. Their reaction doesn't mean you did something wrong. It means your boundary exposed their entitlement. Think about it. How many times have you betrayed yourself just to avoid someone else's disappointment? How many times have you said yes while your whole soul screamed no? And what did it cost you? Time, energy, peace, self-respect. And for what? To keep someone who doesn't even respect you comfortable? To protect a relationship that's only alive because you keep bleeding out to feed it? That's not love. That's self-abandonment. The truth is, you can't build a strong life on weak boundaries. If people can't handle your no, they don't deserve your yes. If they can't accept your limits, they don't deserve your loyalty. So next time someone tries to cross your line, don't explain, don't apologize, don't stutter. Just stand there, unshaken, and let them realize the game is over. Because at the end of the day, boundaries are not about keeping people out. They're about keeping yourself intact. And if someone can't handle that, let them go. No is the most powerful weapon you'll ever own. Use it. You ever notice how some people are only around when it's convenient for them? Yeah, they disappear when you need support, but the second they need something, suddenly they remember your number. They call it being busy. I call it being selectively loyal. And if you've been tolerating that, let's be real. You've been nothing but their part-time emotional convenience store. Here's the ugly truth. Their absence is not an accident. Their silence is not innocent. They are very much aware of where they stand in your life, and they use it against you. They've studied you. They know you'll be there no matter what, so they dip in and out whenever it suits them. They give you just enough attention to keep you hooked, and then they vanish again like a magician pulling a cheap, disappearing act. But let's not lie. You've been tolerating this because you're addicted to crumbs. That tiny text after weeks of silence lights you up like it's Christmas morning. You'll tell yourself, well, at least they reached out. Pathetic, isn't it? The fact that you're excited by the bare minimum shows how low your bar has been set. And here's the savage part, you said it there. Nobody put a gun to your head and told you to accept inconsistency. You accepted it because you're afraid of being alone, afraid of confrontation, and terrified of finally cutting people off who don't deserve access to you. Now let's break down the manipulation behind this selective presence. When they disappear, they leave you questioning yourself. Did I do something wrong? Did I push too hard? Maybe they're just busy. You start making excuses for their absence, protecting their ego while yours rots. Then, when they finally pop back up, they act like nothing happened. No explanation, no accountability, just a casual, hey, how have you been? And you, desperate for scraps of connection, welcome them back like a loyal pet waiting by the door. Let me slap the truth into you. This is not love, it's control. This is not friendship, it's exploitation. People who truly value you don't vanish when it matters most. They don't leave you hanging during your storms and show up only when the skies are clear. That's not support. That's opportunism. And opportunists aren't partners, friends, or family. They're leeches feeding off your availability. Real example, picture this. You go through a tough time, maybe a breakup, maybe a job loss. You look around, and they're nowhere. Not a call, not a text. But 3 weeks later, they hit you up because they miss you, or they need help moving, or they want to vent about their latest drama. And you, being the kind soul you are, open the door and let them back in. See the cycle? You were bleeding. They didn't bring bandages, they brought baggage. The hidden manipulation here is that their inconsistency keeps you chasing. It creates a push-pull dynamic. They vanish, you panic. They return, you relax. That roller coaster mess tricks your brain into equating inconsistency with excitement. That's why you mistake their return for love, when in reality it's just dopamine responding to unpredictability. You're not in a relationship, you're stuck in a casino slot machine loop. So here's the savage comeback you need to tattoo on your mind. If you're not here for my lows, don't bother showing up for my highs. Simple, ruthless, true. Because the second you stop rewarding inconsistency, they lose their grip. Silence is your weapon, refusal is your shield, distance is your revenge. You don't explain, you don't argue, you don't give them a speech about loyalty. You just stop being available to people who only show up when it's convenient. Because let's flip the script for a second. Imagine if you treated them the way they treat you. Imagine if they texted you after weeks and you left them on read. Imagine if they needed help and you suddenly became busy. Oh, they'd lose their minds. They'd call you fake. They'd call you cold. But when they do it, you forgive, you excuse, you keep the door unlocked. Enough. Your time is not a charity. Your energy is not a free buffet. If someone wants to be in your life, they need to earn consistency. They need to show up, not when it's easy, but when it's inconvenient. That's the real test of loyalty. Anyone can celebrate you when you're winning. Few can stand beside you when you're drowning. And if they can't, then they don't deserve to share the oxygen you fought for. So let this burn into your brain. Stop being the part-time option for people who don't make you a priority. Stop answering every time they reappear from the shadows. Stop thinking their absence is a reflection of your worth. Their inconsistency exposes them, not you. The only question left is whether you'll keep playing along with the cycle or whether you'll finally stand up and say, this door is closed. Permanently. Because at the end of the day, you can either keep entertaining ghosts or you can start building with people who are real. You've been taught to survive. Now it's time to dominate. For too long, you've been told to be patient, be understanding, give them another chance. But patience doesn't heal disrespect. Understanding doesn't fix manipulation. And giving someone another chance to disrespect you is like handing a thief your house keys and acting surprised when your wallet disappears. You don't need more forgiveness, you need power. And power doesn't come from talking, it comes from drawing the line and enforcing it. The first step? Silence. Not the weak silence of swallowing your pain, but the sharp silence of someone who refuses to play the game anymore. Because every manipulator, every toxic person, every fake friend feeds on one thing, your reaction. They poke, they provoke, they guilt trip. And they wait for you to respond. Your defense, your explanation, your tears, it's their fuel. Stop feeding them. When your silence becomes louder than their games, you shift the balance. But silence alone isn't enough. You must back it with presence. A presence so grounded in self-respect that even your absence is felt. You don't need to argue when you can walk away. You don't need to justify when you can detach. Every time you enforce a boundary without explanation, you teach people how to treat you. And if they refuse to learn, you cut them off. Clean, cold, unapologetic. Do you know what weakness really is? It's not crying, it's not feeling, it's giving endless access to people who have proven they don't deserve you. You've been conditioned to confuse loyalty with stupidity. They said, family is family. They said, love means sacrifice. They said, friends forgive. But here's the raw truth. Family can be toxic, love can be manipulation, and friendship can be parasitic. Loyalty should never be blind. Respect is not automatic, it's earned, and once lost, it's almost impossible to get back. When you shift into power, you stop tolerating crumbs. You stop entertaining half love, half support, half presence. You stop being the backup plan, the emotional sponge, the easy target. You no longer let people borrow your time like it's free and disposable. Your time becomes sacred. Your energy becomes priceless. You stop chasing approval and start commanding respect. And here's the secret. They respect you the moment they realize they can't control you anymore. But let's be brutally clear, shifting into power will cost you. You will lose people, you will lose invitations, you will lose the fake comfort of being included in circles that secretly never valued you. And it will sting, because rejection always stings. But what you gain is freedom. Freedom from the leash of expectations, freedom from the chokehold of guilt, freedom from walking on eggshells, wondering who you need to please today. You trade shallow connections for deep solitude, and that solitude grows you into someone unstoppable. Power is not about shouting louder. It's about standing so firm in who you are that the world bends or breaks around you. And yes, they will call you cold. They will call you arrogant. They will call you selfish. Let them. That's the cry of people who thrived on your weakness and are now starving without it. Take it as a compliment. Every insult thrown at your strength is just confirmation that you finally closed the gates. Ask yourself this: do you want to be liked, or do you want to be respected? Because the truth is, the more you demand respect, the fewer people will like you. People like doormats. They soft, agreeable, and never push back. But nobody respects a doormat. Power means choosing respect even if it means walking alone, because once you master walking alone, no one can ever use loneliness against you again. This is your shift, from chasing to choosing, from reacting to controlling, from surviving to commanding. You don't beg for love. You don't tolerate disrespect disguised as jokes. You don't carry guilt that isn't yours. You don't accept backhanded support. You don't allow boundary breakers. And you sure as hell don't settle for people who are only sometimes there. You rise above all of it. The weak version of you died the moment you decided you're done tolerating. From now on, you don't explain, you don't chase, you don't beg. You move, you cut, you walk, you rise. And when people look back, they won't say you were cold. They'll say you were untouchable, because shifting into power isn't about being cruel. It's about reclaiming what should have been yours all along. Your respect, your peace, your throne. You've been living as if tolerating disrespect makes you noble, as if keeping silent while others tear you apart somehow makes you strong. No, let me break the illusion. You've been weak, and weakness has been eating you alive. You've been taught to confuse endurance with courage, silence with peace, and suffering with love. But here's the truth that should rattle your bones. Endurance without boundaries is slavery. Silence without self-respect is self-betrayal. And love without dignity is addiction. This is the part where things change. This is the part where you stop waiting for life to hand you power and you start taking it. Because the more you tolerate, the more you shrink. And the more you shrink, the easier you are to control. You've been the puppet, nodding along, smiling while your soul suffocates. But there comes a moment when the strings snap, and that moment is now. Think about it. Every time you laughed at the joke that wasn't funny, every time you accepted an apology that wasn't sincere, every time you let someone guilt you into staying when you wanted to leave, you chipped away at your own identity. And the cruelest part? You thought you were keeping the peace. You thought you were being the bigger person. But peace doesn't come from playing dead. It comes from standing tall. Stop letting people use your kindness as a leash. Stop letting them weaponize your silence. Stop pretending weakness is compassion. That version of you, apologizing for breathing too loud, shrinking so others feel taller, sacrificing your mental health for people who wouldn't bleed a drop for you, has to die. Because here's what happens when you finally decide you've had enough. Everything shifts. Your energy changes. Your words cut deeper. Your silence becomes terrifying. People who once mocked you avoid you. People who used to drain you fear you. The same ones who laughed at you will whisper about you, and you'll feel it. The shift from victim to master. Weakness is familiar, but power is addictive. Once you taste it, you'll never go back. But here's the catch. You can't halfway transform. You can't demand respect on Monday and accept crumbs on Tuesday. You can't roar like a lion in public and crawl back into your cage at night. Power demands consistency. It demands sacrifice. And yes, it demands you lose people. But ask yourself this: if someone disappears because you set standards, did you actually lose anything? Or did you finally take out the trash? Understand this. You don't become powerful by shouting louder. You don't become untouchable by being cruel. You become powerful by drawing a line so sharp it slices through manipulation, by standing so still that no insult moves you, by walking away so clean that the